Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. This is going to be a reading from my Chiron book. It's a viewer request, and it will be Chiron in aspect to Pluto. So any of you who have your natal Pluto and your natal Chiron either conjunct, opposing, or squaring, then this reading is for you. Okay, and I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed and who like and who share my videos on this channel, because that helps my whole channel and all of my videos to circulate to more and more individuals who are needing this information just like you. So thank you so very much. All right, and hopefully the lighting is going to be all right. I have the sun, it's going in and out of clouds, and so hopefully this will be all right. I might be washed out too, but that's all right too. Okay. Oh, and before I forget, if any of you want copies, send me an email. And all of my information is down in the drop-down box below this video and each and every one of my videos. Okay. And if anyone is ever curious about my chart, my natal chart, and all of my positioning, I have that in the drop-down box below as well. Okay. Chiron in aspect to Pluto. Major learning experiences for Chiron Pluto people feature typically Plutonian themes such as sexuality and the use or abuse of power, personal and collective destructiveness, deep and complex emotionality, transformative experiences, and the ability to regenerate oneself. Huge, huge. Once they have come to terms with the destructive potential of this aspect, Chiron Pluto people are often able to channel powerful healing to others. They may have a conscious experience of the realms beyond physical death and develop a deep, instinctive understanding of the laws of Pluto. These laws are not only concerned with our individual bodily survival, but also with the will of the body of mankind, of which we are part. It is perhaps when we refuse to recognize this, taking the power of life and death into our own hands, that Pluto's destructiveness is unleashed. The Chiron Pluto experience is of life and death as two sides of one process. It reminds us that in the end, we have only our own souls to answer to, and that the will of the unfolding universe works through us, with or without our conscious participation. In shamanic terms, we meet our demons in the areas of experience suggested by the houses in which Pluto and Chiron are placed, and they are described by the signs involved. Whereas Plutonians usually have an ability to see the hidden dark side of life, some people with Chiron in aspect to Pluto have a blind spot here and are unable to detect or deal with destructiveness in themselves and others. They may overestimate others' power and be affected by unconscious envy or aggression directed towards them, or which they themselves feel. Chiron Pluto people can become tense or emotionally reactive without knowing why. They initially mistrust their instincts about people, attributing all good to others and all bad to themselves, or vice versa. Often, however, their intuitive sense turns out to be correct. The Chiron Pluto journey involves reconnecting with and learning to trust these deep instincts. Then those with these planets in aspect can see in the dark. And I need to say right now, for those of you who have this, obviously you're listening, so you will have this aspect. It's imperative, it's imperative anyway for all of us to know our personal work in this life through our nodes of the moon, which if you have listened to me before, you know that I'm an astrologer of 26 years plus, and that's what I specialize in. And so, but what I'm sensing here is if you don't know your nodes of the moon, those of you who have this aspect, I cannot stress, there's the word stress, more to you, even more, to find out what they are, okay? Because this has everything to do with bringing out, because the nodes of the moon, they are put in our subconscious at birth, and so we do not know what they are. So it is a blockage. It is an automatic program that we will keep cycling through, and it's going to block us from, it's like a Pluto. What it's talking about Pluto here, it goes to the root. And so until you can bring that out into your conscious awareness, then it's going to stifle you, and you're not going to be accurate on what they're talking about here with getting to those deep instincts and being correct about your intuitiveness and your psychic abilities. So besides this Pluto Chiron, it's your south node and knowing what your south node is. Okay. And if that sounds right to any of you right now, and you're ready to do that, send me an email. Let me know. And if you already have your natal wheel done, then the symbol on your natal wheel for your south node is upside down headphones. North node will be directly across that, and it will be your upright headphones. And then you can check in my past viewer requests. I have, I believe, at least 18 now that I have read of the nodes, the different nodes. You're going to have two parts. You're going to have your house placement part, and then your zodiac part. And if I haven't read them yet, either or both of them for you, send me an email and I will do a general reading. Absolutely. And if you would like me to send you a copy of your nodes, I can do that as well. Send me an email. Okay. Okay, so then those with these planets in aspect can see in the dark. They have an uncanny sense of self-preservation. They can sense trouble and therefore have a knack of avoiding disaster and ability to react instinctively and creatively to danger. For example, a friend of mine was quietly enjoying a romantic dinner with a man who has Chiron quincunx Pluto when he suddenly rushed out of the restaurant, overturning his chair and spilling his wine. It transpired that a motorcycle had crashed into his car, which was parked in the next street, out of earshot. He arrived in time to take the motorcyclist to the hospital. The incident astonished him as much as my friend, and he could only describe what happened as an overwhelming physical compulsion which propelled him outside to his car. At the time, transiting Mercury opposed Chiron, and the Sun was squaring his Pluto, both within a few minutes of being exact. Okay. Chiron-Pluto people are often irresistibly drawn towards situations that promise danger, excitement, sexual power, and financial or emotional intrigue. And for those of you that don't know, Pluto, because Pluto is the 8th house. That's the natural house of Pluto. And the natural sign is Scorpio. And Scorpio has everything to do with sex, death, rebirth, and the 8th house as well. Sexually consummated relationships. Anyway, okay. They secretly relish the fires of intent, and its intensity too. High intensity is Scorpio and the 8th house. So anything any of you have in Scorpio or the 8th house has everything to do with intensity. And that isn't necessarily good, especially if you're talking about South Node, which is mine, in the 8th house, in Scorpio, with my Neptune conjunct. But I was forced to go through intense experiences, okay, to be able to work through my South Node properly. That's why I'm saying you all need to know your South Nodes too. That's just what I feel I have to say to you. It's very, very essential, especially for all of you. Okay. I'm going to just backtrack a little bit here. Chiron-Pluto people are often irresistibly drawn towards situations that promise danger, excitement, sexual power, and financial or emotional intrigue. They secretly relish the fires of intense experience, testing their phoenix-like abilities to rise again from catastrophe. That's like the moth to the flame. And those of you who might have a Virgo Pluto as well, which I also do, that talks about Virgo and Pluto, Virgo, and or the 6th house, talks about moth to the flame. And you're constantly testing that and over-testing it. Anyway, so, okay. The thrill of a moth, oh, here we go. The thrill of a moth heading into that same old flame is familiar to many with this aspect. And I haven't read this before. Okay. But this is also an addiction with Chiron. Pluto eventually urges us to resist, understand, and let go of that moth to the flame. There you go. Rather than invoking Pluto to the surface to wreak havoc in our lives, Chiron-Pluto bids us to let go, to be ourselves, transformed by dying to our old ways of being and immature attitudes of omnipotence or belief that it will never happen to me. With maturity, Chiron-Pluto people can feel the peace and quiet confidence which comes from having faced a great deal of emotional pain. There you go. Death becomes an ally rather than an enemy to be vanquished or with whom we can take our chances. And the opposite of Scorpio is Taurus, which is the 2nd house, also is the natural house of Taurus, which is all about self-worth, peace, tranquility, love, harmony, balance. People with Chiron in aspect to Pluto often have difficulties with intimate relationships, which degenerate into power struggles if too much emotional vulnerability threatens to open up. They are often secretive about their true feelings and may become sexually promiscuous to ensure they remain emotionally unattached and therefore in control. Through this, they may unconsciously be seeking to heal deep wounds in their early relationship with their mother. This may drive them on relentlessly, always feeling unfulfilled and getting progressively more angry, until perhaps a severe crisis will force them to internalize this process, when they may at last receive the healing they need from the archetypal mother of all. And I believe they're saying mother because, and it's even grandmother, because Pluto actually is all about grandmother, which is a motherly role. The moon is mother, Pluto is grandmother. And also those of you who have Saturn in aspect to Chiron, Saturn aspect to Chiron, and this one will also, and even you might want to check and see what your Saturn, how your Saturn aspects Pluto as well. But that includes father then too. This may drive them on to relentlessly always, this may drive them on relentlessly, always feeling unfulfilled and getting progressively more angry, until perhaps a severe crisis will force them to internalize this process, when they may at last receive the healing they need from the archetypal mother of all. And I feel the need to say too, being this Scorpio, Pluto, it most likely will be a life or death crisis that brings you out of it and able to finally let go of that high intensity feeling of need to experience that. People with Chiron Pluto often have great emotional depth and penetrating insight into others. And working through this is what gives you that. Once able to encompass their own emotional wounds, they are capable of great loyalty in relationships. Nothing shocks them, as they see and accept the very worst in themselves and others. And I can absolutely tell you this is correct. This is the truth. Absolutely true. Chiron Pluto initiates transformation through acceptance of what is at the deepest level. That's your gift. That's a strong, if not the strongest gift of this placement for all of you, all of us, me included again. My Pluto opposes my Chiron. The emotional reserve shown by many Chiron Pluto people sometimes conceals a fear of their own unexpressed or imagined anger and destructiveness. They may silently say, "Keep away for your own good," but also hope that you won't, as they long for their fears to be proved groundless. In extremes, Chiron Pluto people may be tormented by feelings of responsibility for others, negativity. Let me say this again. This is an important one too. In extremes, Chiron Pluto people may be tormented by feelings of responsibility for others' negativity over which they have no control, and feel their personal will paralyzed by these fears. In psychology, this is called a negative inflation and masks the extreme vulnerability felt by people who have lacked positive containment from their mother at a very early stage in life. Their response to this early wound may be a deep-seated but unconscious conclusion that they are being punished for being a bad person. Thus, they make themselves the aggressor, identifying with the bad mother. And I have a memory, it was just a lingering feeling. I just felt bad. I didn't know why. I just thought I was bad. And I had constant fear, constant feeling bad, and I constantly felt guilty no matter what. It was like a cloud throughout most of my life. Later on, this badness must be kept hidden, and it is then difficult for Chiron Pluto people to bring anything to light, to express themselves, or to be creative, as they feel what it is within them to be essentially bad. Absolutely. And then for me, I have 5 planets in the 12th house, 4 of them being in Pisces, which is all about the subconscious. The 12th house is the subconscious, and Pisces is again the natural house of the 12th house. So it was very, very difficult. I needed assistance, and thankfully I was given assistance by a very he's a dear friend now especially, but an older man. At times he was my second father figure. And he is the reason why and how I started and was able to delve into astrology. And that's what saved my life. Becoming consciously aware of my nodes of the moon, of Pluto, of Chiron, of my whole chart. Okay, so where am I now? Okay. Later on, this badness must be kept hidden, and it is then difficult for Chiron Pluto people to bring anything to light, to express themselves or be creative, as they feel what is within them to be essentially bad. Regardless of the quality of the mothering received, Chiron Pluto people often feel themselves well and truly to have fallen from grace. And that's that belief in sin, which I'm going to say right now, and I hope I don't offend anybody. I'm not saying this to offend anyone's religious positioning, but sin was man-made. A long, long time ago, and it has been passed down, that belief in sin, from generation to generation. And I even received it too. But it's not true. It's not true. It is man-made. It is made to hold us back, to keep us under control, to keep us feeling guilty and fearful and like we are bad. Because when we are bad, just like what I just read, what do you want to do? What is your natural instinct for any of us? Because we all want to be accepted. We want to be liked. What it is to hide whatever we're feeling guilty about, whatever we're feeling bad about. That's what sin was made for, was to keep us common folk down by the elite of the time. And I believe, and you can check this out for yourself, but I believe it was back in the Roman days where this started heavily, and maybe probably even farther than that though. So don't quote me on that one, but it was a long, long time ago. And then passed down in memory, subconsciously, unconsciously. Okay. And there is proof too, scientific proof. For those of you who need to know and you want to find out this scientific proof, where that comes from, as far as how I'm saying about it being passed down. For one, passed down through the mother in her third trimester, who passes down trillions of bits of information into the baby's brain. Memory. And she passed down from her mother, and so on and so forth, until it's dealt with. It keeps being passed down. And this is one of the ways this is passed down, and sin has been passed down. Okay. But you research that for yourself. Don't just believe me. And I apologize if I get anyone angry, but that was not my intent. But you will see, if you are sincerely seeking, listen to Dr. Ray Higgins. He will tell you about that, partly about that. And there are others out there now too. Okay. Plutonians often have a strong power drive. People with Chiron-Pluto aspects, okay, we're still good with time. People with Chiron-Pluto aspects might have spent their youth in unchallenged omnipotence, going their own way regardless, and ruling the roost with storms of outrage. Later, they may have a tremendous drive to transform the areas of life represented by the houses and signs involved. If the urge to change and regenerate people and situations is compulsive, it may bring misery, guilt, and emotional disaster. Consciously acknowledging power issues and putting them into appropriate perspective is important with Chiron-Pluto aspects, for if they are repressed, they bring self-destructive situations, negative relationships, and even suicidal feelings. Some individuals with Chiron-Pluto aspects have a powerful contribution to make to the collective. Did you hear that? Some individuals with Chiron-Pluto aspects have a powerful contribution to make to the collective. Okay, I'm going to just fast forward that. They're speaking about someone specific. Again, if you'd like a written copy to read that for yourself, you certainly can. Just send me an email. Sometimes with Chiron aspects, sometimes when Chiron aspects Pluto, there is a wound inherited from the mother's side of the family. There may be mental or physical diseases, difficult psychological patterns, or family issues involving power and wealth. As with Chiron and Chiron-Saturn aspect, like I spoke earlier, it may be useful for Chiron-Pluto people to study their family tree. Absolutely, absolutely. If that feels right for you, then it is. And you will find something out, and it will put the puzzle pieces together where you don't have it yet. Something, a question inside you will be answered. Absolutely, that is what I did. And it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Especially on the mother's side. Although women on the father's side of the family also represent images of the feminine, which have a deep influence. That is absolutely correct. So I would look at, if for those of you interested, both sides, as far back as you can go. You will see a pattern on both sides. I certainly did. I certainly did. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Individuals with Chiron Pluto are often forced to come to terms with a powerful inheritance, be it positive or negative. Unknowingly, they can be driven to bring fulfillment and healing to their mother and sometimes her ancestors. That is absolutely correct with me. Perhaps by manifesting their unlived potential or by unwittingly following their life scripts. Women who represent positive images of feminine strength could be discovered within the heritage, providing positive inspiration and healing. In many African religions, the ancestors play a crucial role. As mentioned in Chapter 1, the network of family relationships extends beyond physical death. The dead are included by the living as part of life, honored with ceremonies and consulted for material and spiritual guidance. Most importantly, perhaps, they comprise a protective membrane around the living, shielding them from direct exposure to the world of archetypal energies beyond. In shamanic terms, we need the protection of our ancestral spirits if we are called to encounter the deeper layers of the psyche. In psychological terms, this means deep reconciliation with our family inheritance, because Pluto has everything to do with getting to the root, and that's why they're talking ancestry and family trees, getting to the very roots, the original root truth of Pluto and of Chiron in this specific situation here that I'm reading. And even mother and father, another root, get to the root, because it goes beyond even your parents. So it's no one's fault. That's another thing that I just love about this. It's no one's fault. It's not your fault. It's not your parents. It's not your grandparents. And you will see that. In fact, you now have a crucial role. You personally, right now, all of you viewers listening to this, to stop this, to finally complete this ancestral pattern, because this was passed down to you, this Pluto Chiron connection. And those of you who have Saturn Chiron, Saturn Pluto, on a physical level, our ancestors carry our genetic inheritance. Their psychological patterns and archetypal propensities represent the interface between the personal and the collective layers of the unconscious. Chiron and Pluto both cross over the orbit of their neighboring inner planet. This process of interpretation, like blood circulating through the body, can bring healing to relationships within the ancestral fabric, even after death. This is huge. This is huge. This is where you personally, viewers, right now, have the ability to right the wrongs, for lack of a better word, change these scripts, complete, clean up, clear up Pluto Chiron where it couldn't be cleared up before. You now have the privilege of doing this right now in this life, and it changes your whole ancestry. And I'm going to go to say the whole universe. You increase the vibration of this whole earth and assist this Aquarius age in the very best and highest way. We need all of you. This is a cooperative effort here. Wow. Whether we think literally of the spirits of the dead or psychologically of parental, I'm not sure how this, IMAGOS, perhaps does not matter as much as our attitude to what lies beyond human life. The psychological perspective may bring the comfort of feeling that we have explained something and can therefore deal safely with it. We ward it off by attributing it to one complex or another. An encounter with the spirits of the dead, however, will provoke a fear and awe, perhaps more appropriate to Pluto's realm than smug and sophisticated understanding. In our culture, we are cushioned from the reality of death, but Chiron Pluto people need to examine and transform this antiseptic collective attitude in themselves, or they may become morbidly obsessed with death and afraid of life. Many shamanic initiation rituals have at their core an experience of facing death, literally or symbolically. Likewise, many people with Chiron Pluto come close to death through illness or emotional crises at least once in their lives, or experience of loss of those close to them at an early age. Our first realization of death is often shocking, but with Chiron Pluto, there may be a specific trauma connected with it. Okay, and fast forward because I'm running out of time too. I don't want to, okay, I don't have much time here, so let me finish. Finally, let us track the current Chiron-Pluto cycle from the last conjunction. Chiron was conjunct Pluto in Leo. No, this is really long. Okay, I am going to stop here. Yeah, I'm going to stop here because it's going on and it's going to talk about, let's see, Pluto in Leo. Let me see here. So those of you, if you want to, so the Chiron-Pluto cycle of Chiron conjunct Pluto in Leo, and then it's going to talk about Pluto in Scorpio squaring Chiron in Leo. Okay, and I don't have time for that, but those of you who have Chiron in Leo and Pluto square in Scorpio squaring your Chiron in Leo, which is going to be August 92. Those of you born, let's see. No, it's more than that. It's longer than that. Anyway, in the early 90s, born in the early 90s. It's going to be longer than that. I can't guess. Okay, so another one is Chiron, Pluto conjunct, let's see, Sagittarius. So all of you with that, okay? So either Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto in Leo, Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto in Sagittarius. You might want to have me send you the writing so you can read the rest of it for you specifically. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. And if there's anything else I can help any of you with, please send me a comment, leave me an email. I would be happy to. Okay, until next time.